Today on Top Shelf Sports, it's homecoming weekend in DeKalb. We'll preview the football team's matchup against Kent State. The Cubs begin their World Series defense in Washington, and we'll find out which record-setting athlete goes above and beyond in this week's Leader of the Pack. Top Shelf Sports starts now.
Welcome to our second edition of Top Shelf Sports for the semester. I'm Eric Martin.
And I'm Kobe Price. Let's kick off the day how we usually do with some good old Husky football.
The Huskies fell to number 19 San Diego State Aztecs 34-28 last week. The loss gives NIU a split 2-2 non-conference record. During the first quarter of last week's game, NIU redshirt sophomore linebacker Antonio Jones-Davis gouged the eyes off of San Diego State running back Rashad Penny. No penalty was called during the game, but cameras clearly caught Jones-Davis committing the act, while both players were at the bottom of a large dog pile. As a result of the incident, Jones-Davis has been suspended for NIU's game tomorrow against Kent State. Tomorrow's game is both the homecoming game and the first game of conference play for the Huskies. The game will be at 2:30 at Husky Stadium.
It's also homecoming week for NIU, so let's go to Top Shelf Sports reporter Max Boudreau for an inside look at this week's homecoming festivities.
Full swing, and I was able to check out various activities around campus and show what a true Husky homecoming is all about.
Homecoming week got off to an interesting start with the recycle boat race at East Lagoon. The Residence Hall Association took home the victory at first place with a recycle boat designed by NIU's very own Brent Bland, a fifth-year mechanical engineering major.
I think this is probably the most exciting event I was looking forward to. We've done it 3 years now, and we've never really placed anywhere higher up. And this is the first year that we've gotten first ever that I know of, so that was really awesome.
At the kickoff rally, NIU students were excited to be introduced to the candidates for homecoming court and see the performance of the NIU Silverettes. This performance is meant to encourage students to attend the big game.
I'm super excited only because I believe we're gonna win, as well as our performances and being able to see all the fans in the stadium, and hopefully we'll get it packed and sold out. I think that'd be great.
Yale Like Hell was a cheerleading event put on by various Greek organizations on NIU's campus in order to get students excited about witnessing some great cheerleading stunts. The final event was the homecoming parade that united the DeKalb and Sycamore community. Whether this is your first year or fourth year, there are plenty of activities on campus for students to be involved with.
I think it portrays that the university is really a part of our community. So not only are we a community within the university, but we also reach out to our own community around us in Sycamore and DeKalb. And yeah, I think it creates a nice sense of unity.
Out of all the events on campus, the most important event of them all is the big game on Saturday.
All these events have set the stage for an eventful game tomorrow at Husky Stadium. Back to you guys at the desk.
Women's soccer moved their game up to an earlier time due to the threat of a severe weather later Thursday evening. NIU kicked off with a score in the 40th minute when defender Haley Hoppy scored her third goal of the season, coming off an assist from midfielder Lauren Gearman. The Redhawks scored the equalizer in the 79th minute when Jenny Barr scored a goal off a deflection, tying the game at 1. The game went into overtime, but not for long, as Allie Ingham sealed the match with her header 3 minutes into overtime to give NIU the 2-1 victory. The win gives the Huskies their first home victory of the season and keeps the Redhawks searching for their first season win. All of Hoppy's goals this season have come off corner kicks from Gearman. NIU will take on Ball State University Cardinals Sunday in the team's first meeting since last season's MAC tournament.
The men's soccer team took on the Valparaiso University Crusaders on Tuesday in their final match before MAC conference play begins. The Huskies were on the attack early, but weren't able to get past Valparaiso defense for much on the first half. The Crusaders controlled the ball for the majority of the game, and in the 19th minute, freshman forward Jones Engler scored the opening goal. The Huskies were able to battle back thanks to redshirt sophomore goalkeeper Konrad Zidzik, who made 3 diving saves at the end of the first half. But in the end, the Crusaders' offense was too much, and the Huskies fell by a score of 3-2. NIU opens MAC conference play on Saturday when they head to West Virginia to take on the West Virginia Mountaineers. It was an up-and-down weekend for the NIU volleyball team. In their first home game since defeating the Illinois State Redbirds on September 12th, The Huskies lost a tough 5-set match to the Eastern Michigan University Eagles Friday evening. It marked the second game in a row in which they lost in 5 sets. However, the Huskies returned to action Saturday and proved that they weren't going to allow Friday's loss to bring them down. NIU defeated the Central Michigan University Chippewas in a tightly contested 4 sets for their first conference win of the season. Outside hitters Kaylee Martin and Jory Radke, as well as middle blocker Meg Wallowitz, each recorded more than 10 kills for the match. The Huskies will return to action tonight when they face the University of Toledo Rockets to begin their 4-game road trip. We'll send it over to Northern Star sports editor Tom Burton for his top 5 NIU athletes.
Thanks, guys. Top 5 athletes looked at NIU players to evaluate if there was a recent spike in performance based on the overall season. The stats are based on games, meets, and matches that occurred from September 11th to October 4th. Coming in at number 5 is freshman women's soccer player Haley Hoppe. In only 6 starts for the Huskies, Hoppe has 3 goals and an assist, including a goal in yesterday's overtime win against the Miami Redhawks. Hoppe tied fellow teammate Taylor Sarver with 3 goals with 7 points on the season. Hoppe is becoming a player to watch for the Huskies and look for her to continue putting the ball in the back of the net for NIU. At number 4 is junior women's golfer Kelly Anderson. Anderson has proven to be one of the most consistent players in the lineup, dating back to last season. She's the only player to shoot under 80 in every round this season. She took 7th place overall at the Redbird Invitational September 11th. At number 3 in the top 5 is volleyball senior setter Chandler Kinley. Kinley is a perfect representation of why we all love sports. Along with her abilities on the court, Kinley spearheaded efforts from the volleyball team to donate to Hurricane Harvey victims. On the court, Kinley has stepped up in her assist numbers, averaging 38.5 assists a game dating back to September 12th. Leadership is earned and not given, and Kinley is a leader in more ways than one. Coming in at number 2 is football tailback Jordan Huff. Huff has 252 yards in his last 2 games and has become a favorite option for quarterback Daniel Satacaterina. In their game against San Diego State, Huff outplayed Rashad Penny, who was one of the top running backs in the nation. Huff ran the ball for an eventual game-winning touchdown in NIU's historic win against Nebraska September 16th. Look for Huff to continue being the ground threat that he's been with conference play right around the corner. Coming in as a top athlete of the week is men's soccer forward Jan Martins. The German sensation has become one of the top offensive threats for the Huskies. Martin has 1 assist and 3 goals on the season and leads the team in scoring. Martin had his career best game in their September 17th loss to Sacramento State, where he had a goal and an assist. For a team who has already surpassed their win total from a season ago, the play of Martins has been a big reason why. Look for Martins to continue scoring goals and anchoring the Huskies offense. That will do it for this edition of Top 5 Athletes. Let's send it back to the desk with Eric and Kobe.
Thanks, Tom. Coming up next on Top Shelf Sports, we'll find out how Cubs fans feel about the team's chances heading to the postseason. The Blackhawks also opened up their season against the defending champions, Stanley Cup champions, and put on a game for the ages.
And the WNBA Finals came down to a win-or-take-all Game 5 between the Minnesota Lynx and the Los Angeles Sparks. We'll find out who took home the hardware.
You made this vacation happen, cleverly merging promotions,
double points with every purchase,
and cross-referencing travel sites. Aloha! If you can ace your vacation, you can do it for retirement. Get on track with tips at aceyourretirement.org.
Listen, I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you judge me for having a problem. No one is going to know that I need help. I need help I know that no one is going to judge me for having a problem. I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you listened.
The men's golf team wrapped up play Tuesday at the Erin Hills Intercollegiate and finished in 14th place. The Huskies were in last place up until the final round, where they shot a score of 299. Junior Salvador Rocha led the team with a top 50 finish and shot a 75 in the first 2 rounds. The golf team will resume action Sunday and Monday at the Wyndham Memorial Classic at Evanston Golf Club in Skokie, Illinois.
And now we'll send it over to Austin Hansen at the sports desk.
Kyle Hendricks and the Chicago Cubs will take on Steven Strasburg and the Nationals in Game 1 tonight on TBS. This will be the Cubs' 3rd straight postseason appearance, and they are looking to repeat as World Series champions. The Cubs will have a tough task ahead of them, as they will take on the Nationals' second baseman, Daniel Murphy, who is known for being the Cubs' Achilles heel. The last time Murphy took on the Cubs in the postseason was in the 2015 NLCS as a member of the New York Mets. Murphy hit 4 home runs, batted in 6 runs, and batted .529 as he won the 2015 NLCS MVP.
I see this series probably being their toughest right now. The Nationals are a really strong team with a great rotation. I could see them going 5 games against the Nationals, and then I can see them going all the way to the World Series again.
Bryce Harper's soft. Chris Bryant's gonna smack like 12 dingers this series. Calling it.
I think it'll be a little bit of a concern, but if we get back on our game and just remind us about last year, we'll get on top of it.
On the other side of the NLDS matchups, the Diamondbacks beat the Rockies in the wild card game, and they're set to take on the Los Angeles Dodgers tonight at 9:30. Game 1 of the ALDS between the Red Sox and Astros did not disappoint fans. We pick up this one early in the first inning, with Red Sox ace Chris Sale on the bump. Alex Bregman, the 3rd baseman from Houston, makes this an early 1-0 lead with a shot to left. The next batter is MVP candidate Jose Altuve, and he's going to smack one too. Back-to-back home runs off the probable American League Cy Young winner, but Altuve won't be done there. In the 4th, with Sale still on the mound and the game tied 2-2, Marwin Gonzalez hits one in the alley between right and center to score 2 more runs. The Astros would go up 4-2 then. In the next inning, it's the return of Altuve as he knocks his 2nd home run of the game and adds to the Astro lead. In the 7th, Altuve ties the record for home runs in a single playoff game. He crushes his 3rd home run, and this game had Astros written all over it. The Astros take the early series lead, and Game 2 will be today at 1 o'clock with pitchers Drew Pomeranz and Dallas Keuchel facing off. We move now to the other ALDS series between the Yankees and the Indians. Indians pitcher Trevor Bauer has to feel confident with outfielders like Jason Kipnis making plays behind him. What a catch from the Glenbrook North alum as he robs a definite hit early in this game. We picked this one up in the 4th inning with Indian slugger Jay Bruce pushing the lead to 3-0 with a towering home run to right field. Bruce would then add another ribby with the sacrifice fly in the 5th to take the 4-0 lead, and with Bauer pitching, the Indians would never look back. Bauer would give up 0 runs to a young and talented Yankees roster, and star rookie Aaron Judge ended the night 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. The Indians and Yankees go for Game 2 tonight in Cleveland. Pitchers CC Sabathia and Corey Kluber face off at 4 o'clock. The Blackhawks open this season up at the United Center, taking on the defending Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins. Early in the first period, Patrick Kane skates behind the net and then passes behind him to Ryan Hartman to fool the goalie and open up scoring. Less than a minute later, Brandon Saad starts a 2-on-1 break with Richard Panik. Saad sets up in front of the net and puts in a rebound goal off Panik's shot. Welcome back, Saad. About 30 seconds later, Patrick Kane skates into the zone and sets up a spinorama pass to Nick Schmaltz for a backhand goal as the Hawks go up 3-0. Still in the first, Brett Seabrook throws one at the net from the blue line. Players get tied up, Niemi loses sight of the puck, and Brandon Saad nets his 2nd goal of his homecoming night. The Blackhawks still weren't done with the first. With about 3 minutes left, Patrick Sharp finds a hole for a breakaway and snipes it right past Matt Murray. Welcome back, Sharpie. The Hawks will continue to score and win 10-1 as Brandon Saad finished off with a hat trick. The Minnesota Lynx won their 4th championship in 7 years when they defeated the LA Sparks in Game 5 of the WNBA Finals on Wednesday. The Sparks went on a 7-0 run to cut the Lynx lead from 12-3 with 34 seconds remaining in the game, but the Lynx held off the Sparks the rest of the way. A clutch shot from Maya Ice-Intervenes-Moore and a game-sealing rebound from Sylvia Fowles resulted in another title for the Pack from Minnesota. The Lynx are now tied with the former Houston Comets for most championships in WNBA history. The new, but not so improved, Chicago Bulls traveled to Dallas to face the Mavericks for some preseason action. Chicago was able to keep the scoring close in the first half, trailing by just 6 heading into halftime. But Dallas came out after the break, and the Bulls fell further and further behind. The second and third Mavs units were in sync all game, looking like first-team players against the lowly Chicago Bulls. Chicago shot 34% from the field, while the Mavericks scored often, shooting 50% as a team. Harrison Barnes led all scorers with 17 points, while Paul Zipser and Robin Lopez were the Bulls' leading scorers with 12 points each. The Bulls fell to the Mavs 118-71. The Bulls' next preseason game is tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks at the United Center. The Bears finally get to display their new Christmas toy Monday night as Mitchell Trubisky gets the start against the Minnesota Vikings. Mike Glennon had an abysmal 8 turnovers, 5 interceptions, and 3 fumbles lost in 4 starts this season with only 4 touchdowns and 833 yards passing. Coaches decided that it is time for a change at the position. Trubisky was the number 2 overall pick in this year's draft after the Bears traded up 1 spot to get him. The Bears currently sit in last place in a competitive NFC North with a 1-3 record. Let's hear from John Fox on his decision to start Trubisky this Monday.
I thought he had an outstanding camp. I think he got to play, through 4 preseason games. Got to watch him in practice in preparation for the first 4 regular season games. I thought he made great strides even through camp. Being new to our offense, and just felt like, he was kind of ready for the next step.
That'll do it from the sports desk. I'm Austin Hanson. Back to you guys.
After the break, the UFC has 2 title fights coming up this Saturday. We'll break it down. We'll find out which Husky athlete goes above and beyond on and off the field in this week's Leader of the Pack. And we'll show you our top 5 plays of the week.
You made her college years possible, opening that education savings account when she was little, spearheading campus tours, and deciphering financial aid. If you can ace planning for college, you can do it for retirement. Get on track with tips at aceyourretirement.org. You made your house a reality. Homeschooling yourself on loans, color-coding listings, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. If you can ace house hunting, you can do it for retirement. Get on track with tips at aceyourretirement.org.
Hey, look, it's those guys. Are you good to drive?
I'm fine.
How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be?
Go and step out of the vehicle for me.
See ya, buddy. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
Every year, 40% of all food in the U.S. never gets eaten.
40%. That's almost half the food we produce.
Food waste is a serious problem. It impacts all of us.
And it's expensive. Your family is throwing $1,500 a year in the trash.
We're working hard to put food waste on the chopping block.
And you can do the same at home.
Learn how to cook it, store it, and share it.
Just don't waste it.
Go to SaveTheFood.com.
Last weekend was NASCAR's playoffs first elimination race.
For more, let's send it to the garage with Brandon Morocco.
Thanks, guys. Last weekend, NASCAR was at the Monster Mile in Dover, Delaware. The race was the first elimination race in the playoffs. So let's head to the track and see who is still in contention for the championship. In the first stage, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. caught a break when Jeffrey Earnhardt spun when getting onto pit road. Stenhouse stayed out and held on to finish 4th in the first stage. With the 4th place finish, Stenhouse took home 7 bonus points. Let's fast forward into stage 3. Chase Elliott had led a race high 137 laps and was on his way to his first ever victory. Unfortunately for Elliott, Kyle Busch was closing in behind him. Busch caught up to Elliott, who was trying to get around Ryan Newman. Newman was fighting to stay on the lead lap and keep his championship hopes alive. Busch was able to get around Elliott on the last lap to take home his 2nd race in a row. Now, because he was able to get those 7 stage points earlier in the stage 1, Stenhouse Jr. advanced to the next stage. Ryan Newman was eliminated by 2 points, and also eliminated were Austin Dillon, Kurt Busch, and Casey Kane. So this weekend, NASCAR heads to Charlotte for the beginning of the 2nd round of the playoffs. I would say Kyle Busch looks to be the favorite. He had the race almost won earlier this year, but Austin Dillon was able to hold on to stretch fuel and win it. He also has won 2 in a row and nearly won at Chicago. Another team to watch is Hendrick Motorsports. Elliott came within a lap to winning at Dover, Jimmy Johnson came in 3rd, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. came in 7th. So with the Toyotas dominating recently, it will be interesting to see if the Hendrick performance was just Dover specific, or if they can continue the momentum into Charlotte. And as always, you can't count out this year Martin Truex Jr. or Kyle Larson. So it's going to be an exciting race, and the pressure is heating up with 4 more drivers being eliminated in 3 weeks. It's going to be very exciting to watch. So thanks for watching. From the garage, I'm Brandon Morocco. Now let's send it back to you guys at the desk.
This week we take some time to look ahead to what's coming up in the mixed martial arts world.
We'll send it over to Adam Carr to break things down in this week's MMA discussion.
2 UFC championship titles are going to be up for grabs, with the undisputed flyweight and interim lightweight titles being decided in the octagon. Flyweight champion Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson puts his 125-pound title on the line versus Ray Borg on Saturday. With the win tomorrow, Mighty Mouse breaks Anderson Silva's record for most consecutive title defenses. Borg is coming off of 2 decision victories against Luis Smolka and Jussier Formiga. Borg has most of his finishes by way of submission, but has not stopped a fight since August 2015. DJ, often panned for not finishing fights, has won 4 of his last 6 contests by knockout or tap out. Most experts feel this should be a rather easy fight for the most dominant champion in UFC history, and I tend to agree. Look for Johnson to break that record on Saturday. That is just the co-main event, though. The main event is the interim lightweight championship between Tony Ferguson and Kevin Lee. This is both men's first ever crack at a UFC title. The interim belt was created in the wake of current UFC lightweight champion Conor McGregor's foray into boxing. The winner of the Ferguson-Lee fight should be directly in line for McGregor's belt. The Motown Phenom is coming off of submissions over Michael Chiesa, Francisco Trinaldo, and Magomed Mustafayev. El Kukui has 2 wins by Darstroke prior to his decision victory over Rafael dos Anjos. Former heavyweight champion Fabricio Verdun is looking to get 1 step closer to a rematch with Stipe Miocic as he takes on Derek the Black Beast Lewis. Also in the American MMA scene, Spike TV will air Bellator 184 tonight. Bantamweight champion Eduardo Dantas is putting up his strap against Darian Caldwell. Former 2-time featherweight champion Daniel Strauss will square off against Emmanuel Sanchez. And fellow former featherweight champion Pat Curran will make only his 2nd appearance in the Bellator cage since 2015 as he takes on John Teixeira. I am Adam Carr, and this has been your MMA discussion. Back to you guys at the desk.
Women's soccer goalie Amy Anala moves to 2nd on NAU's all-time save list.
Now we'll toss it over to our sports reporter Mateo Avila for more on Amy and this week's Leader of the Pack.
NIU senior goalkeeper Amy Anala has grown into a leader throughout her time as a Husky. At the goalkeeper position, Amy has the eyes of the entire team, and she uses that vision to be vocal with her teammates to point out exactly what's happening across the soccer field. Through this role, Amy has gained a solid understanding of what being a leader really means.
I think you've got to be responsible, you've got to hold yourself accountable, be able to hold your teammates accountable, and I think you've got to be just open to new ideas, and really you've got to be able to take what everybody else has to say and help try to implement that into the program rather than saying, this is what I want to do, so I'm going to do it.
Amy has improved every season throughout her career as a Husky, and is now 2nd all-time in saves in NIU women's soccer history. She is also one of 3 ladies to record at least 300 saves in their career. Aside from her individual accomplishments, It was when Amy was sidelined to injury last season where she showed her greatest leadership skills in the eyes of head coach John Ross.
Last year, Amy went down, and she helped Mackie prepare. She helped, Mackie throughout the year with training and being positive and being a big support for her. And it showed. Mackie was able to get in there and show what she can do as well.
Amy has also proven to be a leader not only on the field, but also in the classroom, as she was named to the academic All-MAC team and was one of 50 NIU athletes recognized as a MAC Distinguished Scholar Athlete for the 2016-17 school year with a 4.0 GPA. Amy also represented the MAC at an NCAA Leadership Forum in Baltimore last year. Through this success, Amy has learned how to balance school with athletics.
It can be tough sometimes, but I mean, we all do it. Just whenever you've got free time, you're studying for that test tomorrow. That's what I was just running from taking a quiz. So I don't know, just whenever you've got free time, you've got to think ahead, like what can I do to be ahead for next week, because we missed class for traveling and everything. So just trying to stay ahead and using that free time wisely.
Amy's success not only on the soccer field but also in the classroom leave her as this week's leader of the pack. For NTC News, I'm Mateo Avila.
I'm joined by Husky senior goalkeeper Amy Anola. Amy, can you talk a little bit about what soccer means to you and how important it is to you?
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing ever since I can remember, and I think just the biggest aspect of it that means most to me is just the team environment. I love just working with the girls every day and building relationships, and just having that competition with people that you're so close with there's nothing like it. So it's a lot of fun.
And this weekend you recorded your 314th save, making you second all time in NIU saves for the women's soccer team. What went into creating that great accomplishment, and how do you feel about it?
It's just not too complex, just a lot of hard work, putting in the hours of training when I can, and a lot of that goes on our back line. They don't give up easy shots for the opposing team, so it's easy, makes my job easy. They make it difficult on them, and so I can kind of collect the easy saves. And so I don't try to think too much about it, just kind of trying to do my job day by day with the games and help us to get the wins.
In the back of your mind is shooting for #1 before you graduate? Is that something that's
I'm trying not to think about that. Hopefully we can make it so I don't really have to make any more saves and we just control the ball up top, so that'd be ideal.
And last season you had some injuries. You had a great year, but you had to miss the end of the season, including the MAC championship. Are you using that as any kind of motivation to get back to the MAC championship this season?
Definitely, yeah. That was most of my motivation this summer too, getting back, was I wanted to make my last year count, because I knew what I missed out on last year, and watching everybody out on the field during the MAC championship game was so cool to see, just the excitement and the competitive drive everybody had, and I wanted to be a part of that. So I'm hoping that we'll get there again this year.
And I've spent some time with the team, and I've heard some rumblings from your teammates and other people around the soccer field that you rap. So can you talk a little bit about where that came from and how that all started?
I guess when I was little, I would find an Eminem song or something, probably not the most appropriate for my age, but I would just sit there and try to learn the lyrics because I liked how fast it was. And then in high school, my friends and I tried to do this promotional rap for a dance marathon, and then our teammates, I showed them for some reason freshman year, and then they kind of just gave me crap for it. And last year when I was out, that was kind of the only way I could really be involved with the team, was try to pregame rap before our tournament games. And so that kind of got everybody excited for the games, and it kind of became my thing, I guess.
Would you mind spinning a little bars for us?
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, like you had asked me earlier. So I wrote this during class today. It's not very good, but I'm honored to be here on Leaders of the Pack. Shout out to my Huskies. We're the best in the MAC. Call us the underdogs, and we'll make a lot of noise and shut down the Big Ten with Rod Carey and the boys. We're forward together, forward, grind on every play. That's how we get it done. Call it the hard way. So that
is great. That is fantastic. That is really, really good.
Thanks.
I don't know, man. A rap career could be in your future. Just saying. Well, thank you, Amy. I want to thank you for joining us, and let's send this back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Mateo. Now it's time for a couple of the most exciting parts of the show.
We'll send it to our fantasy football expert, David Sivia, for advice on a few sneaky players to look out for this week, as well as his top 5 plays of the week.
What's up, guys? I know you got fantasy sports questions, and I got the answers for you. So let's get it kicked off with the NFL season, Week 5 approaching here quickly. We got 3 fantasy sleepers that we kind of took a look at. The quarterback to be on the lookout for is the Dallas Cowboys quarterback, Dak Prescott. The Cowboys take on the ailing Green Bay Packers defense. Look for Prescott to move the ball with ease and to be a steady fantasy play this week. A running back looking to have a bounce-back week is Melvin Gordon of the Los Angeles Chargers. Although he hasn't made a lot of noise in fantasy football so far, fans ought to expect Gordon to have a breakout game of the season against the Giants, who have a skeptical rush defense. Look for the Chargers to get Gordon running off early and to be a big target in the pass game. And finally, the wide receiver that we're looking to tear it up this week is Pierre Garçon. Garçon is taking on the Indianapolis Colts this week and a defense that has struggled all season. Garçon leads the 49ers in routes run, targets, receptions, and receiving yards. Look for Kyle Shanahan to move Garçon around to be able to get his touches. From here, we're going to go to our top 5 plays of the week, and it's been a crazy week across the board with tons of electrifying plays, so let's dive right on into them. Starting off at number 5, Todd Frazier drives the ball to deep center field, but Byron Buxton has other plans. Byron Buxton hits the wall like a Mack truck and holds on for the out. Buxton gets a tip of the cap from his starting pitcher. At number 4, we hit the gridiron. The officials need to check Broncos tight end A.J. Derby's gloves for glue because everything is sticking. Derby with the impressive one-handed bobble and reception for the score, finding his way into the end zone. At number 3, we go 30 yards out for Neymar's free kick, an impressive one where he buries it in the upper 90 for the impressive score. We're going in at number 2. Seth Curry goes around the pick against the Magic, finding a cutting Dennis Smith Jr. for the alley-oop slam. Now hold on, let's run that one back. Get up there, little fella, show off those bunnies in their shoes. Get up. So we stick with the NBA for the top play as Clippers point guard Patrick Beverley threads the needle to DeAndre Jordan, who soars over 2 Raptors defenders for the rim-rattling dunk. Jordan with the one-handed hammer to end our top 5 plays of the week. Let's send it back over the desk. Thanks for having us.
Top Shelf Sports is produced and directed by students here at Northern Illinois University.
For more on Top Shelf Sports, look us up and like us on Facebook. Be on the lookout for our various podcasts on SoundCloud. You can also check our new Twitter site at @topshelf_NIU to keep up with the latest sports content.
Want to thank you all for joining us, and as always, go Huskies.